cut that down. Okay. Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy, Lincoln Clay, coming back at you with another podcast. I'm just getting out of work, so still, how's everybody doing today? You know what to do. Hit the bell icon, hit the like button. The rest will take care of itself. If you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. Hope you're enjoying the content. And please excuse my gulping and burping and shit like that if you hear it. Just had a ice cold glass of guava juice and ginger ale, which gives you the burps and burns up your nose and throat when you burp. But let's get right to it. Well, before I get right to it, first thing I want to do is give a shout out to Gamertag VR. I hooked up with him yesterday. Played some Firewall with him. It was a lot of fun. He's a VR enthusiast, one of the bigger names in when it comes to VR. You know, his name is recognized along the sides of Polish Paw, Mitsuons, you know, and other VR dudes. So he's pretty cool. You know, I hope to hook up with him again and play some more Firewall with him. That'll be cool. And Oculus for that matter, because he has Oculus. He has an Oculus Rift too. So shout out to him. But now, getting into this situation. Yesterday was, what's the word I'm looking for? There were some fireworks yesterday, to say the least. And I didn't see every single firework, but I saw enough to get my thoughts on it. As some of you know, there was a heated discussion between Sick Humor and Foxy Games UK, and the discussion evolved into a heated debate to the point where where threats were thrown. And so, Robert Evans, what's up? And I never like to see shit, go that far. You first? Okay, well, there's two of you watching. I don't know who's first, but I know you're the first one who said something. But yeah, when there's a heated discussion and it blows up to the point where threats get to flying, you never want to see that. And what's up, Blue? And he went in on Luca too, huh? Well, actually, when you get done, when I get to where I'm going with this, you're probably going to be surprised who I had an issue with out of all the shit that happened last night. So we'll go back. We'll go back to the beginning. One of the discussions that Sick and Foxy were having that started escalating was the topic of VR. Foxy pointed out the success of VR. I mean, not Foxy. Sick pointed out the success of VR, and Foxy feels that VR was a failure. And Sick explained it. VR grew 30%, and it grew 30% in 2018. Robert Evans. But what was forgotten is that she had disrespected people too, so she's just as guilty. Like I said, Robert, just hold on when I get to this, because I'm being subtle right now. I'll probably keep a subtle tone of voice about this But when I get to the end of the shit, the stuff that I got to say, you're gonna find out one of my pet peeves. And I mean, this is like a cardinal sin with me. This is some shit I just don't get down with. But I'll get to that. But anyway, so Sick explained that VR is a success, that it grew 80%, 30% in 2018, and Foxy felt like it was a failure. I strongly disagree with that. If I would have been to that podcast yesterday, I would have made the same argument that Sig did, that VR has grown 30%, and that a big reason for the growth in VR is because of Sony. Cyber Dragon, what's up? How many times have you guys heard me say before that if it weren't for Sony, VR would have died? Not only that, Sony had an uphill climb. Jamal Adams, what's up? When the PlayStation VR was first introduced, the media did everything they could to sabotage the PlayStation VR. I assumed it's the same shit with our American media trying to sabotage a foreign product. The media talked about how the PlayStation VR was going to fail. They talked about motion sickness. With the PlayStation VR. They talked about the price of the PlayStation VR, which at the time they had two SKUs, one for $400 and one for $500. But the media mentioned nothing about the Oculus Rift costed $600 and the HTC Vive costed $700. The media also did not mention that you would need a PC, that you would probably have to sink at least $1,000 into to run either one of those headsets. And not only that, the computer had to be VR ready. You couldn't just hook it up to any PC. They're a little more loose now in terms of what the requirements are in order for it to work. But you still gotta have a decent PC. You're not just gonna walk in and you're not just gonna walk in and buy a Dell business computer. Cyber Dragon, you said that several times and you were correct. Hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate that, Cyber Dragon. How many YouTubers? Like, I think I'm probably how many YouTubers do you know with less than 1,000 subs that have been pushing VR harder than me? Now, I'm not trying to be braggadocious. There are people that do push VR harder than me, but these are people that's got anywhere from 1,000 to 50,000 subscribers. I don't think there's a YouTuber with less than 1,000 subs that pushes VR harder than me. And I had a vested interest to see the PlayStation VR succeed, not only for that platform itself, but VR as a whole. So I felt like when the media was saying shit about the PlayStation VR, they were speaking about the PlayStation VR in general and not, about the PlayStation VR, not VR in general. They weren't saying that VR in general is going to fail. They basically said the PlayStation VR is going to fail. So I expect the same thing to happen when the PlayStation 5 comes out. I expect the media to find a way to say some shit about the PlayStation 5 and try to sabotage that too, so they can try to help out Microsoft. I don't think the PlayStation brand, I don't think it gets worldwide media bias. I think it gets American media bias. I can't stand our media. If an American product or an American is not winning, they'll try to sabotage the competition by putting out negative shit about them. I cannot stand our motherfucking media. They will come up with some lies like a motherfucker. I mean, you know, I'm not going to get into that. You know what? I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to leave that part alone. But so anyway, yes, VR is not only growing, VR is not going anywhere, because the PS5, you want to know the truth, when the PS5 launches, the media did not expect PSVR to outsell the Oculus and the Vive combined. For one thing, Cyber Dragon, Sony had a huge advantage over Oculus and Vive because there was already what, like 40, 50 million PlayStations already out there by the time that the PlayStation VR launched. And at the time that the PlayStation VR launched, the PlayStation Pro came out at exactly price point for one. The PlayStation Pro was $400 and the PlayStation Slim was $300. So if you were to get the $500, so at the very most, you could get a PlayStation Pro and a PlayStation VR for $900 at the most. You know, and if you already got the PlayStation, you're already halfway home. You already have a gaming console that you're already enjoying, and then you add a peripheral to it that adds another dimension of entertainment. So at $500, I was thinking to myself, I was like, yeah, that is a little bit steep. But I was also thinking to myself that in a few years, when this thing comes down to $300, $250, as a permanent price, they're going to move a lot more. They're going to move a lot more off the shelf. Because when the PlayStation VR first launched, there was actually a lot of games at the PlayStation Store. So price was going to be the issue and not content. The content was there. It came down to a matter of price. And I think the numbers were incorrect. I think he was thinking that the PlayStation VR was sitting on $3 million headsets sold, but I think they are sitting on I think they're sitting on 5 million. I think they're over 5 million by now, but I do believe that they are over 5 million. Yeah, you're right. Cyber Dragon, even in this first 10 months, about you were saying the media did not expect PSVR to outsell the Oculus and VR combined. You are absolutely right, because if I'm not mistaken, in the first 10 months of the existence of the PlayStation VR, they had sold 900. I think they sold 950, maybe even 975,000 units, which was still more than the Oculus and Vive combined. And they had already, I think they had already been out for a year or two, or whatever the case may be. And so here comes the PlayStation VR that hasn't even been out a year yet, and it already outsold them combined. And I'll be the first one to admit that I was hoping that the number would have been much higher at that time. I was hoping that the number would have been more like a 1.5 million or even 2 million. But I knew that this is a new peripheral. You know, this is a new area for PlayStation. So it was going to take some time for people to adapt to it. And it was going to come down to a matter of price before these things started moving off the shelf. And how many times have you guys heard me say that every time I know about a sale coming up, I'll let you guys know about it. The PlayStation VR is going to be on sale. If you're interested in it, this is the perfect time to get one. You know, because I feel like you can't beat that with a hammer. If you can get a PlayStation VR for $200, any VR, you know. So I've been pushing that. I'm really excited about what the next generation of VR is going to be. I believe the next generation, the PlayStation VR 2, is going to be my go-to VR. As I believe it's going to be much more powerful. There are going to be a lot more multiplayer games. And I believe that, I believe Sony's going to make something happen where we're going to see more AAA games coming to the PlayStation VR. So there's no question about it. The PlayStation VR is going to be my go-to VR. So and here's another thing that supports my theory that VR is growing. Some people can say that Sony's taking a chance, doubling down on the PlayStation VR. Some people would say that Sony's taking a chance, doubling down on it. But truth be told, I think Oculus is taking the biggest risk of them all right now. Oh yeah, you said especially on Black Friday, you gave them a ton of PR for PlayStation VR. Absolutely. Christopher Hart Crap Gamer released a video talking about why PS5 is going to succeed and said Sony released a pad for wireless VR headsets. Said no wonder Sony is winning. Oh, he just now realized that? That's just a bunch of bullshit trying to get views. Him and Muscle Bound Gamers doing the same shit, acting like they seen the light, trying to get motherfucking views right now. They can both get the fuck out of here. And as far as Sony released a patent for the wireless VR headset, to me, that's not really news because it's been suspected for the longest that the next PlayStation VR is going to be wireless. They filed several patents. They filed a patent that allows local multiplayer where you're able to connect two VR headsets to a single console. They've done that. They filed patents on like new Move controllers that have a number of features where these controllers are pressure sensitive. They've released, they have patents on some other type controllers. I think that fit around your wrist that have cameras in them. Ryu, what's up? They've also filed other patents within the VR headset. I think it allows you to see the outside world without taking the headset off. Also, it's supposed to detect when you're motion sick. And Sony's filed a lot of patents on the PlayStation VR. So this thing being wireless is no surprise to me. Yeah, I seen the drawing. It was a drawing of two people standing, maybe 6 to 8 feet away from a single console. I think it's cool. As far as mainstream appeal, I think it's cool that the PlayStation VR for next generation could be wireless. I think that's cool. But for me, I would rather have a cord because I'm still convinced a hard wire is still faster than the wireless console, than a wireless connection. So with that being said, when it comes out next generation, I hope they give you an option to plug a cord in for a hard wire or to go wireless. I hope they give you an option. But I'm cool with it either way. But as I was going to say, Oculus, as far as I'm concerned, is taking the biggest risk right now with VR, trying to appeal to the mainstream. And that comes by way of the Oculus Quest. The Oculus Quest, as I've said before, is supposed to give you an Oculus Rift type of experience without cords, without the PC. Now, from what I know about the Oculus Quest, I think you're supposed to get a resolution of 1440p, which is cool, but because it's not going to have as much power as say a PC that's powering the Oculus Rift, I guess like the lighting, the shadows, and cell shading, and all that kind of shit isn't going to be as detailed as you would see in the Oculus Rift. With that being said, I do not see a need to get the Oculus Quest, but I am definitely pulling for its success. Because if the Oculus Quest succeeds, it further elevates the appeal of VR to everybody. I mean, to some degree, I think you could make the case that the PlayStation VR was put in place to try to appeal to the mainstream, or at least its user base. And with the PlayStation VR coming up next generation, I'm not sure if Sony's main goal is to try to appeal to the mainstream. If they do, I would like to think that they have a plan that so many years down the line, they expect it to be at a certain price point. Support Gaming, what's up? But I think, I've said it before, the $400 price point for the Oculus Quest, I think that's going to be a little bit pricey for casual gamers. But I think once it comes down to maybe like a permanent price of $300, I think they'll be able to move more off the shelf, and I think it'll appeal to more casual gamers. I've said this a million times. When it comes to casual people, price is the biggest issue. If there's something that you love and you want to get it day one, price is not the issue. But if there's something that you are not into and you're curious about getting into it, price is probably going to be the biggest issue. So with that being said, I do not think that the Oculus Quest is going to do what it was intended to do until they've knocked the price down that's a little more appealing to the mainstream. So that's that on that subject. When I got the Oculus, people was making jokes that I was going full blown PC and all that shit. No, my heart is still with the PlayStation VR as well. It's just now I feel like I got the best of both worlds, being that I have the PlayStation VR and the Oculus Rift. And then for the next generation, I'm still going to have the best of both worlds in terms of having a PC and having a PS5. So that's one thing I definitely want to clear up, that because I have a PC and I do love what PC has to offer, it does not mean that, that I'm starting to talk this council peasant shit. No, that's not the case at all. I love them both. I love, PC I stepped into a whole new world and I like what I'm seeing, despite my computer being in the shop, I was definitely enjoying that Oculus Rift. As of right now, I'm feeling like a crackhead with no crack, with my PC being gone. I want my shit back ASAP. So, but on to the other discussion that led to the blow up, between these two that I'm talking about. Christopher Hart, you said next gen PSVR is going to be as powerful, if not more powerful, than PC VR. Yeah, I mean, even back when I was finding out about all these patents and shit like that, Sony had a Japanese company working on the VR lens for the next PlayStation VR, and I guess this lens was supposed to be better than anything that's out on the market today. So that told me right there, Sony means business about VR next generation. Sony is not playing. I don't think they playing. So when the next PlayStation VR comes out, it doesn't matter, what the price is going to be. I would make a rough guess that it's probably going to cost somewhere between $300 and $500. Doesn't matter. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to have it day one. Ice Queen Gaming, how are you? Same thing with the PlayStation 5. It could cost as much as $600 and I'm still going to pick it up day one. So, but now, like I said, let's jump over to this other subject that kind of led to the blow up. And that was the discussion about Microsoft and its impact on gaming right now. Bottom line, Sick thinks Microsoft just needs to pack up and get on out of the console business. I agree with that 100%. How many times have you guys heard me say that as well? I haven't said it in a while, but a while ago, I was like, man, I'll be glad when Microsoft packs the fuck up and gets the fuck out of console gaming. I was like, I want them gone. I've said that on numerous occasions. And I think out of the YouTubers that I know, I think Thrash, me, and Sick were probably the ones that was pushing the hardest, saying that they need to go ahead and get, Microsoft need to go ahead and get the fuck up out of here, because we feel like they weren't doing anything to elevate the gaming industry. They weren't doing anything to elevate it, to enhance it, to be more productive. I mean, everything that comes out of their mouth is a motherfucking lie. It just got old. I'm like, they sell garbage ass games, suspect hardware, and they cannot promote anything that they sell without throwing dirt on the competition's name. So I was like, I'll be glad when they get the fuck up out of console gaming, and whatever it is they're trying to sell, they would have whatever it is they're trying to sell is going to have to sell on its own merit instead of throwing dirt on the competition's name. And what I'm speaking of is Game Pass. When Microsoft is completely out of the console business and Game Pass is still here, they're going to have to sell Game Pass on its own merit, and not because they're trying to throw dirt on Sony. And in this case, as far as the games as a service and cloud gaming goes, Microsoft might have a real problem on its hands with Google, even though people have said that Google is not established, that we don't know, they've never been in this shit before and all that kind of stuff. Shit, it was the same way with Microsoft. When they first came out with the first Xbox, it was a phenomenal console. But people acted like it was going to fail because they were not established. They hadn't been around as long as the PlayStation and all that kind of other shit. Everybody got to start somewhere. So with that being said, and Google got enough bread that whatever slow start that they end up, going through, they got enough bread to withstand the slow start. So with that being said, Microsoft might have a serious problem on their hands in terms of no matter which direction you look in, Microsoft gonna have a problem on his hands. When it comes to the traditional console, they're gonna see the PlayStation 5 over there. When it comes to the traditional consoles, when it comes to stream-based gaming, Sony could still be right there. It's been rumored that Sony could possibly introduce a streaming console, but even if they don't introduce the streaming console, I would be led to assume that the PS5 is going to have streaming capabilities as the PS4 has them right now. When it comes to 100% cloud-based gaming, it looks like Google's going to be a serious competition, and then we're hearing it at some point Amazon is going to get involved in this shit. Not to mention all the other games as a service subscriptions that's going to be out there. Microsoft is going to have a motherfucking fight on its hands. And then I even seen a Google trailer showing, and it said play your games anywhere. So what Microsoft is going to be doing with them giving you the ability to play your games anywhere you want, Google's going to be doing the same shit. You're going to be able to play your games anywhere. And another thing that actually crossed my mind is what if they get into talks with Sony about trying to bring a Google app to the PlayStation to access their games, because they obviously going to be trying to put some kind of exclusive content out there or some kind of timed exclusive, because, they're supposedly teaming up with Sega, with Ubisoft and ID Software, amongst other developers that's supposed to be talking about. I'm getting to that right now, Robert. So to catch you up real quick, in Ryan's podcast yesterday, Sick Humor and Foxy Games UK was, having a discussion on some of the things that they thought about, and VR was one of them. Foxy thinks VR has failed. Sick said he thinks it has grown, and he gave a stat to back up his belief that VR has grown. And I agree with him. You guys got to know that I agree with him, because how many times have you guys seen me push VR? Then the other discussion they got into that led to the blow up is where I'm going at right now, is that, Sick believes that Microsoft should get out of the game, should get out of the console space. I feel that same way. Thrash feels that same way. And I think we are the three people who probably voiced it the loudest that we want Microsoft out of here. We want them gone. His take on it is and I think what led to the discussion about Sick wanting Microsoft out of here was the demonstration of the so-called cloud on that Inside Xbox, that fake ass demonstration they gave. There are those who believe that it was scripted, and I felt like I thought it was scripted as well. But Thrash actually had me thinking when he said he thinks it was real, but he thought the latency was so bad that the woman had to watch how fast she was going. She couldn't go above a certain speed because it would have because the latency would have been like absolutely horrible. So that actually had me thinking. I don't, that doesn't mean that I'm thinking, yeah, you know what, it was real. I really don't know. I just know that what we saw shows that the shit ain't gonna work right. Whether it was scripted or whether she was actually playing it and it just had horrible latency, the shit is not going to work. And that led, I think Foxy was like, how do you know it's not going to work? And criticized PlayStation Now, said that it's the weakest, but I thought about that. I was like, the weakest compared to what? Who else? What other gaming entity has a streaming service? So I think they're really the only ones out there in terms of game streaming right now. We know Google's coming. We know the xCloud is coming. But who else is out there right now? So if you want to put it that way, they're not the weakest. They may not be the strongest, but they're not the weakest either. And then that's the conversation, the discussion have evolved into Six saying that he wants Microsoft out of here. And I definitely agree with that. I think Microsoft is everything that's bad for gaming. And I think gaming as a whole will be a lot better once Microsoft gets out of the console space, once they get out of the console business. And that led to him saying that, I'm entitled to my opinion, whoop-de-whoop. And then that's when shit exploded. So the shit elevated to the point where threats was flying, threats of violence, that kind of shit. Now, as far as the threats of violence goes, I got nothing to do with that. I definitely stay out of that part. And then the other thing about and then the other part about when two people get ready to get into a fight, sometimes when somebody gets in the middle of it and tries to break it up, it only fuels this shit, because then people start getting super loud with, nah, fuck that. It's like, yo, calm down, man. No, fuck that. He up there talking all this shit, motherfucker. Sometimes you got to let them go. I would, in my opinion, the way I am, I would do everything I can to keep two people that I know might have a blow up from being in the same room. But if it gets to that point, I got to let them go, because I come from the school of hard knocks where a lot of shit gets settled with fist. And too many times growing up on the street, I've seen two dudes act like they getting ready to fight, wolfing at each other and shit like that. And then as soon as somebody get in the middle and try to tell them, no, man, y'all supposed to be cool, y'all shouldn't be fighting, then somebody gets really loud, start getting super loud, and start acting like they trying to get around the person that's trying to hold them back and shit like that. And then, now you got 3 or 4 other people jumping into it, trying to break the shit up. And then it's just like fucking chaos. Sometimes you got to let people go. But with that being said, I think that shit put Ryan in a compromising position, because I think he never seen that shit coming. I thought that he tried to disperse the situation in a civilized manner. I think once he got to the point where he was muting people, I think he had no choice, because by that point, shit had, threats of violence had taken, so I think he did what he had to under the circumstances. I think he was put in a compromising situation. You see, let's state a fact. There's no other place VR is big but on PlayStation. Facts. I see your comment, Robert McLeod, and I'm not going to repeat it, but I see it. So now the next chapter of this shit is where I started to have the problem. So the thing about it is, damn, somebody running some water upstairs. That shit loud as fuck. It sounds like a fucking flood is coming. So yeah, I watched the podcast. I didn't see the part about their discussion about the VR aspect of it. I did see the part about where Sick said, you know, Microsoft need to get out of here, and I seen the shit start to elevate from there. And truth be told, I turned it off because I was like, damn, this shit is about to go left, and I really don't want to see this. And plus, I had to get to sleep because I hadn't been asleep yet, and I needed to get a nap in. So I shut the stream off right then and there. When I woke up, it was about 11 o'clock, so I had missed the Roundtable podcast. It had already been going on for almost 2 hours. Excuse me. So when I woke up and saw the Roundtable podcast, I was shocked to high fuck to see Ryan was in there. You know, given the history with him and Thrash, I was super shocked to see Ryan in there. But everything seemed to be cordial in there, and I was like, okay, cool, you know. And then another situation was coming up where, you know, people was, you know, telling Ryan that, you know, hey, you know, you should have handled it this way, you should have did this, you should have did that. And I thought, you know, Ryan handled it like a man. He was like, you know, yeah, I could see where you would feel that way. I could understand where you would feel like that. Stuff like that. So he was taking the shots that was being thrown at him. So I thought he handled it. I thought Ryan handled that pretty good. But what happened shortly after that, this is where I had a problem. Ryan, basically, I felt like Ryan and Thrash got instigated into another confrontation. That's where I had a problem with this shit. I put that on Luca. I did not care for that shit. I thought she pulled some ratchet shit. Sick was in the Roundtable podcast giving his version of what happened, of what he felt happened. And Luca jumped in and said, yeah, I got into it with him too. And she said, after I got into it, she admitted, she said, I think I went too far. I'm thinking, okay, cool. Cooler heads prevail, whoop-de-whoop, and all this kind of stuff. And she said she didn't know what happened with Foxy and Sick. So Sick was like, here's what happened. You know, so he gave his side of the story. And then she jumped totally off of that shit and was, you know, asking Ryan and Thrash what's going on with them. And here was the fucked up part. She had said, you know, earlier in the podcast that, you know, somebody hit her up and told her you might want to turn on YouTube because Foxy and Sick is going at it. So she said, yeah, she turned it on because she loved drama. So she turned it on to see Sick and Foxy go at it. So that's already fucked up. That's already fucked up right there, that you admitting that you love drama. Sick told everybody what happened, and then she shifted shit over to Thrash and Ryan and asked why can't they get along. And she was like, you know, I tried to ask you guys about a year ago. Well, fuck. If you asked them about a year ago and they didn't tell you what the fuck happened, maybe they don't want you to know what happened. Why are you still prying? So let me get this straight. And then not only that, at some point in the podcast, she has said that maybe, you know, Thrash and Ryan need to separate and stay away from each other forever. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe we got the voice of reason here. You know, I'm cool with both Ryan and Thrash, but it's no secret that whenever they get in the same room, some shit might get the flying. So what does she do? She, set off some shit with two people who have a history of going back and forth with each other over this past, year or so. I felt like she set them off. You just said it. You just admitted that you like drama. No, you love drama. You suggested that these two should stay away from each other forever. You said, I've been trying to, I tried to ask y'all a year ago, what is going on with y'all? And you didn't get the answer you was looking for. So why the fuck did you ask for another explanation today? A year fucking later, when they done had trillions of discussions over who was at fault. They done tried numerous times to come in podcast together to try to sort the shit out and figure out where all this shit started. If she wanted to know that motherfucking bad, she should have went and dug up the receipts and found out for herself. Why the fuck would you say, she lit the match and watched the bomb explode? That's exactly what she did, Christopher Hart. And to me, that is the cardinal sin. That is a pet peeve with me. I hate instigators. I do not like that shit in the least. I grew up with some dudes that was some instigators and they motherfucking bitches. I'm minding my own business and some dudes that's supposed to be my friends come up to me and tell me, well, man, the so-and-so was saying this shit about you and whoop-de-whoop and all this kind of shit. And then I'm like, okay, when I see this dude, I'm gonna whoop his ass, and then, then when I finally run into the dude, I'm like, what's the shit you said about me? Well, I heard you said something about me first. No, I heard you said this. Next thing you know, we fighting. And if the instigator happened to be there, they'd be like, yeah, you did say this, back in June, and you did say that back in December, instigating a motherfucking fight. I'm the type of person, so years later, when I got smart and caught on to the shit that I was dealing with an instigator who loved watching motherfuckers fight, I warned the instigator that the next time you come to me and tell me some shit about somebody said something, I'm going to whoop your ass first before I find out. And then I'm going to look into this shit because it's gotten obvious that you obviously like seeing motherfuckers fight. Some serious shit can happen when people instigate. You admitted that you love drama. You suggested, as if you a fucking counselor, that these two dudes stay away from each other forever because they can't seem to get along. You tried to get an answer out of them a year ago. And these two dudes is one snap of the finger away from going at it again. And what do? Ask them who started it. And then when Thrash tried to explain what happened, what was going on from his end, she says there's three versions of the story. She was like, there's your side of the story, there's his side of the story, and there's the truth. Now, what the fuck happened? That was instigating right there. That was some ratchet shit. That tells me she is the kind of chick that will deliberately set two dudes up to fight over her so she can feel good about herself. That is ratchet shit. That is some ratchet bullshit. That irks the fuck out of me. That's some foul shit that she did. And what she just demonstrated to me is that if Thrash and Ryan would have been in the same room, she would have sparked something between them so she can see them fight. So I wouldn't doubt if this chick is the type of person that went off and had two mindless motherfuckers fight over her just so she can feel good about herself to watch two dudes fight. I cannot stand an instigator, and a female instigator is a worse instigator than an instigator. I don't, see, the thing about it, Blue, was that after she asked what the fuck happened and all this shit, and then Thrash started giving his side of the story, and Ryan was like, oh, is that so? I was like, God damn, here we go again. And I cut the motherfucking podcast off. At that point, I went to bed because I was disgusted. I said, this bitch done set them off. Even if it is sexist, because to me, Hey, Blue, to me, a female instigator is the most dangerous person on the planet because she can set two dudes up to kill each other if they like her. Because that might be the chick that want to see two lions kill each other and the winner can have her, you know, just so she can feel good about herself. That shit burned me up. That I can't tell you how mad that motherfucking shit made me. Oh, you did. Hold on, Christopher. Let me get to this podcast. Hold on. I'm gonna have to do it from my phone, but I'll play it for you. Just a minute.
Look at me, goddamn, Tron. On the chat. Now, first of all, he said you have idiots on this show every now and then. You associate with a lot of idiots and whatnot. No, he said this is the second time you have had idiots on this channel. I heard it, dude. He was like, yeah. So he time I had idiots on this channel. Now she came on. Okay, let me finish. Now, again, she came on. At the end of the day, when we got off air, and
okay, just a minute. I don't think she's on here yet. Hold on.
She was on there. Now I was talking to him before she even asked me for the link or asked to get invited. I was talking to him the whole time, and I told him like
they're calling.
Okay.
You are my bro. You are my bro for life.
Okay, hold on. And then that's another thing that was fucked up what Luca did yesterday when she spoke about the fight that she got into with Foxy. She criticized Ryan for not coming to her defense. Ryan again was put in a compromising position because two people that he are cool with were fighting, and he was trying to disperse the shit as best he could without trying to take a side and without ruffling any feathers. And on this one, I give Foxy credit because she was going at Foxy, calling him all kinds of assholes and shit like that. And Foxy was, he was going back at her, but he did not call her out of her name. He didn't call her no bitches or nothing like that. He still went back at her, but he didn't call her any names, because if he would have called her a bitch or something like that, it would have further escalated the situation. And she would have been even twice as mad at her if Ryan didn't threaten to kill Foxy over the internet. How dare you talk to my girl like that? I mean, she put him in a fucked up situation. And to say that shit in yesterday's podcast, for getting on his case about not coming to her defense, he was put in a compromising situation.
Now, again, she came on at the end of the day when we got off air, and she hit me up on Twitter. She was on there. Now I was talking to him before she even asked me for the link or asked to get invited. I was talking to him the whole time, and I told him about look, she want to talk to you. She want to see
okay, let me get to the part where she jumped in here.
You are my bro. You are my bro for life.
Can you stop doing that? Why do you do that every time? Let Luca speak.
Calm your ass down.
Hey, Diver, you heard what Diver said. Diver, you said, hey.
Do it.
Luca, what do you have to say on this situation, if you have anything to say?
Listen.
Or was that what you had to say?
So this is what I have to say about the situation. I get hit up by a bunch of people like, hey, bitch, there's drama on Ryan's channel. And I'm like, what? So, obviously I had to go because I love drama. And I was listening, and I saw that.
Did you hear that right there? I had to go because I love drama. The situation with Foxy, yeah, that's cool that she apologized to him. What I'm talking about, Blue, was that last night, I think she's going to say it here in a second because I'm going to play some more of this. She alluded to Ryan not coming to her defense when she got into it. The man was put in a compromising situation. Two people that he was cool with was going at it. He was put in a compromising situation.
It was between Sick and Foxy. And I was just like, oh, you know what? I should probably talk to Foxy after this. So there's not so we can just squash our situation. Because I admit it, as soon as that shit was over, I'm like, I took it too far. I was definitely in the wrong. I was not acting like I should have acted, and I'm embarrassed about what I did. So, you know, I saw that shit happen. Well, I actually don't even know what happened with Sick and Foxy because I didn't listen to the entire show. I was just there at the very end. And then, so yeah, I hit up Ryan. I'm like, hey, yo, can I get a link so I can talk to Foxy? I get in there. I'm like, listen, man, I'm sorry about what happened between us. I don't know about what happened with you and Sick. But, yeah, just really unfortunate. And that was pretty much the gist of it. But no, we did not discuss Foxy calling me an idiot. Now, you know, a couple of my friends are listening and they're like, well, how do you feel about him calling you an idiot? I'm like, well, I'm not stupid, so it doesn't bother me personally. But, you know, that's just how I feel about it in general. You know what I mean? So me and him, we didn't discuss him calling me an idiot when I was in the chat with him. And the monkey situation, people are telling me that Foxy didn't say that, but you guys are saying that he did, but no one knows because they don't have the video anymore. So it's just kind of like, oh, you do?
Show coming up.
Oh, what?
Yeah, we got sorted.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just like I said, I don't know what happened with Sick and Foxy. It's just really unfortunate.
I can tell you what happened between me and Foxy.
So let me skip to the.
Between me and Ryan is that I'm handsome and he was cool.
Okay.
I was cool with just backing out because I was getting ready to go anywhere. I had to fertilize my grass, my grass. So I was about to get out of there anyway. But then he just started with the personal insults. Oh, you dickhead, you this, you that, and blah blah blah.
Yeah, Andre.
And then I was like, well, come on, Foxy, calm down, cool down, little nigga. Because if you was in the States, if you was in Florida, we wouldn't be having the same conversation. You wouldn't be talking the way you're talking. You wouldn't be coming out your mouth the way you coming out your mouth. So again, let's not do it here. And then I was just like, you a bitch. And apparently that got under his skin. He was already tight from the beginning. But then that just sent him over the edge. He was already on edge. So fuck Foxy. I don't apologize.
We're coming up on the part where she asked Thrash and Ryan what happened. So just hang on a second, y'all.
Apologies went to Ryan and doing that on Ryan's channel because that's not the place to do it. Yeah. Okay. That's it. So fuck Foxy. And again, fuck Foxy. Next. Hey. Family friendly podcast. No. I'm out of here because the wife already looking at me. Get your non-family friendly ass out of my goddamn podcast.
I just it's really unfortunate.
You know Thrash the homie though, man. That's family right there. TTF. God damn, you kicking me out, Diver? What did I do to you, Diver?
Oh, yeah. Nah, it's because Luca wants to talk to you right now, cuz.
Oh, okay. That's all good. I'm out of here. I'm with you too, Diver, man. Nothing but love for y'all boys. I'm out. Peace out, bro.
Yeah, and so, okay, and then another thing, right? I don't know what the issue is with you guys, to be perfectly honest, but I, asked you, both Thrash and Ryan, a year ago, do you guys have a problem with each other? Because every time you guys are in the same room together, there's a fucking issue. What is the story behind you guys? What's the...
I'll tell you. I'll tell you what it is.
What is the story?
Do I need to say any more? You know that there's tension between these two dudes. You tried to get an answer out of them a year ago. If you didn't get the answer you're looking for, why are you still prying for this shit right now? You know goddamn well you already said it. Anytime these two dudes is under the roof, some shit jumps off. So why the fuck would you go off and ask them something that you couldn't get an answer out of them a year ago? And now that you admitted that you love drama, I only can believe that you set that shit off on purpose because you wanted to see an episode of the Jerry Springer Show blow up right in front of your face. That shit irks the fuck out of me. There's nothing more than I hate in instigating. I'm cool with Thrash and I'm cool with Ryan, but I don't know what type of dudes they are on the street. I don't know if either of them dudes, if you make them mad enough that they might go and get a tire iron out the trunk and whoop the fuck out of somebody. What if who knows what happened if these dudes can't come together like this on the internet? These are my dudes and I love them. If they can't get this shit solved on the internet, God knows what might happen if the both of them would have been together. And she just demonstrated that if those two would have been together in front of her, she would have set them off. She would have did some shit to get them fighting with each other. You're right, Andre 6K. If she wanted to answer, she should have went to Ryan in private. She should have went to Thrash in private, or she should have dug through all the Real Gamer Couch podcasts and go get the receipts there, because they done had some blowups. You know, they done had some blowups on the Roundtable podcast, on Ryan's channel and shit like that. And to my knowledge, those videos are still there. The receipts are still there. So if she wanted to know what was going on, she could have found out without having to ask either one of them right there. That shit had me hot right there. That shit burned me up. If it would have been a situation, okay, if somebody comes into our podcast, into the Roundtable podcast, and asks me how come me and Diver are always going at it, I would have laughed, because for as much as me and Diver always go at it, I love dude. I will go to war with him. If I was standing right next to him and somebody started fucking with him, I would jump right in there and help him fight. We whooping their ass. So if somebody would say, hey, how come you and Lincoln always going at it? He would probably say, because the motherfucker on steroids, and then I'd be like, fuck you, you fat motherfucker, whatever, and that's part of the chemistry that we bring to the Roundtable. And I know that's part of the reason why some people tune into the Roundtable, because some people want to see me and Diver go at it and shit like that. It's all good natured fun, I love dude. I know he loved me, and we cool. But that situation right there, myself, I take my hat off to Ryan, because in my opinion, coming into the Roundtable like he did last night, you could perceive it as him coming into hostile territory. And in my opinion, people in the Roundtable were saying, yeah, Ryan, you could have done this, you could have did that. And like I said, he was being cool about it. He was like, yeah, okay, I see where you would feel that way. I can understand where you're coming from, that kind of stuff. And then she goes off and asks him, well, what the fuck happened between y'all? Hold on. Then I think she even went as far as to say, hold on, it was like, hold on just a minute, because I think she provoked the shit even further. Hold on.
Oh shit. Bullshit. This nigga can take it. It's all he can stand. He cannot stand no more. Look, the beef that we got between me and Ryan is that I'm handsome and he's not. That's the thing. You know what I'm saying? No. Okay. No. What it is, look, we tried to, honestly, like the last conversation we had with Ryan, we tried to squash him. But he came in there like He-Man. Really? You know what I'm saying? Like, really? Yes. Yes. No, yes.
You can hear the shit build up right there. You can hear the shit build up right there.
I can tell you what happened. Wait. Hold on. There are three sides of the story. Your side, my side, and the truth. What the fuck actually happened?
I'm telling you. Okay. I'll let. Look.
The man trying to tell you what happened. He trying to give you his side, and it's causing an escalation between them. Thrash saying what he's saying. Ryan was like, really? And then the tension started building. And then she jumped in the middle like a referee, like, okay, hold on, y'all. Hold on, break. Now, what the fuck happened? There's a truth. There's one side, this side. What the fuck happened? Okay, fight. Like she was a damn referee. Okay, go ahead, fight. What she did was foul. That was some motherfucking bullshit. No, Andre, she wasn't the referee. She was the instigator. She was a female Don King. She was the one that put that fight together. As far as Christopher Hart, you said, do you think she might have done it for views? No, I do not think she did it for views, because it wasn't on her channel. I think she did it I think she told the truth. She loves drama, and I think that's why she did it. She wanted to see an episode of the Jerry Springer Show, so she orchestrated it to happen. That was not cool. I normally don't. You guys know how I am with my podcast, that I'm, for the most part, I feel like I'm a professional. I have, I have dealt with people on YouTube who have less than professional personalities. And I did not take it personal. I have not responded. I did not, engage in a fight with them and shit like that because of my professional demeanor. Even the dude that I banned from my podcast for talking shit about Floyd, he said something like 5 or 6 times before I finally got his ass out of there. I'm the type of person, I don't like drama. I don't like see two people that I'm cool with getting ready to fight. So I'm the type of person that if I'm at a party and 2 dudes is at this party that I know don't like each other, one of them whisper in my ear, man, fuck that dude. I can't stand him. I can't stand James, something like that. And then James come to me and say, yo, Lincoln, what did Bill say? And I'll lie. I'll be like, oh, he was just asking me how the family doing. Because if I tell him exactly what Bill said, there's going to be a fight right in the middle of that motherfucking living room. And I'm going to feel like I caused it because I divulged the information to set that shit off. I mean, I think, Robert McCloud, you said, let's face fact. Luca always been an Xbox fangirl. I think she did what she did because she said she loves drama and not because she's an Xbox fangirl. I think she did what she did because that's her personality. So what she just explained to me, what she just showed me, she's not going to just instigate a fight on YouTube. She's going to instigate a fight on the streets. If she happened to be somewhere where there's a bunch of testosterone flying around and a bunch of short-tempered dudes is under the same roof, if she can make it happen, she gonna set it up for these 2 dudes to fight each other. These dudes get into a motherfucking fight. Somebody end up in the hospital, in a coma because of blunt force trauma to the head because they got hit in the head with a brick or something like that. Then the first thing gonna come out of her mouth is, I didn't mean for this to happen. You said, personally, I think all these YouTubers do it for views. Jack Move never pulled up on Hard 8. Kiss Move never blew out, Black Bond's kneecaps out. Look, like the Broadband Bullies, I know that they own some WWE shit. So if they get into a fight like Zaire and, they was clowning D-Batch a couple of days ago. It sounded like he was getting heated. It sounded like he was getting mad as fuck. But I was laughing at it because I know they got some WWE shit over there with these fake fights and stuff like that. And then as far as Weapon Wheel goes, I've never really watched a full podcast of the Weapon Wheel. So if somebody beefing on Weapon Wheel, I don't know if it's real or not. When I first started my YouTube channel and I was first brought into the Roundtable podcast, there was starting to be some tension there. Ryan was going through some shit with some dude named Master Shaker. And I guess this dude was such a bitch that ACO7 jumped in and made a video about this dude calling him a bitch. So I was out of that shit right from the start. And, for the most part, if Luca did not do the shit she did last night, I wouldn't have this podcast right now. Because as far as the discussion that led up to Foxy and Sick getting into it, it's what it is. You know, Foxy's entitled to his opinion, and so is Sick. In the case of this situation, I agree with the way Sick felt. But I still respect the fact that Foxy's entitled to his opinion. Once the shit started, once threats of violence started coming out, that's when I was like, that's when I was done. That's when I was like, you know, that's when I clicked the X button to close that window, because I didn't want to see this shit blow up in front of my eyes, because I do not like drama. In the last little excerpt that I just played for you guys right there, where she was like, what the fuck happened and all this shit, I shut the stream off right then and there and went to bed because I had a bad feeling some shit was about to build up. Thomas Hand, you said, Lincoln, you're as honest as the day is long. Same with Thrash, Ryan, and Luca or Poison. There's a lot of fucked up people out there on YouTube. I'm starting to find this out. But I stay out of that shit. But instigating to me is a serious offense, because people can get seriously hurt from instigating. Man or woman. Instigators, I do not like instigators. But I will say that I feel like you see more situations where a woman are instigating two men fighting and try to tear each other's throats out over this girl, and she's sitting there with her eyes all, you know, all big and shit because she's so happy the two dudes is fighting over her. I don't know about now, but when I grew up, you never saw that shit. You would never see a man deliberately put two women in a situation where they was fighting each other. Because back in the days that I grew up in, a man who did that shit was a bitch. If I go somewhere and I got a girl with me and the side chick is there and I see that some shit about to jump off, I'm going to handle that shit. I'm not going to encourage the fight. I'm going to tell the side chick, shut the fuck up, and I'm going to get back with you tomorrow. I'm going to tell the main chick, get your ass in the car. You know, we're going to go home and we're going to straighten this shit out. In the meantime, shut your fucking mouth. I cannot stand instigating. Men don't do that shit. Real men don't instigate shit. Only bitches do that shit. Whether they got a dick or a pussy. Only bitches instigate shit. Only bitches set people up to get into it with each other. Only bitches love drama. Only bitches love Jerry Springer. The biggest in this podcast right now, the biggest part of this podcast that makes me feel fucked up about this is that I'm cool with Ryan, and I know Ryan is super cool with Luca, but what she did yesterday was wrong. I think when Luca and Foxy got into it, Ryan was put in a compromising position. That when she got into it with Foxy, I got no opinion on that, because it wasn't any instigating going on. You had two people with different personalities having a discussion that escalated into a full-blown fight, and Ryan handled it the best he could, which is what he did yesterday. Fast forward over to what happened with the Roundtable podcast, and I felt like Ryan might have walked into a tense situation coming into the Roundtable podcast. But everybody was still being cordial. Whether Ryan and Thrash actually blew up into a full-blown fight, I don't know, because I left. Because I was disgusted when I saw Lucas set it up for them to try to go at it again. That shit burned me up. Truth be told, like Thomas Hand, I'm judging Luka on what I saw happen last night. Because anything she did before that, anything Luka did before the fight she got into with Foxy, I don't know. That's before my time. I got no opinion on that. My opinion on her is not based on somebody telling me something. My opinion on her is what I heard with my own fucking ears yesterday. Yeah, Christopher Hart, women, not just Luka, all secretly like seeing men argue or show off some degree of proving their manhood. Maybe Luka kind of wanted to see that. I don't know what her reasons are for wanting to see it, Christopher Hart. We just know that she wanted to see it. How long has Vieira been with us now? I think Vieira's been with the round table now about what, 6-8 months, whatever. Never once have I seen her set up a situation where she had two dudes going at it. Never. Vieira has also stated that she's neutral on any of these beefs. You know, yeah, Thomas and Vieira comes across well, and Kuhn, you said she mostly stays quiet. Even if she was a chatterbox, I never seen her set up a situation where two dudes that she knew was on edge with each other go at it. I never seen her do that. And she made it clear, you know, the shit with Ryan and Thrash, I was trying to avoid saying that. But she made it clear that she was neutral on that shit, that she ain't got nothing to do with that. Vieira is a breath of fresh air to the round table. Top Dog, no, that was not the first time I've heard Luka. As a matter of fact, I've been in a podcast with Luka a couple of times. You know, there was I've been in Ryan's podcast a couple of times, and Luka was in there a couple of times. If this gets back to Luka, she got whatever she got to say about it. I really don't care. I said what I got to say about it. Anybody else, I do care what they think. Because I'm upset that the two people that I'm cool with got baited into a boxing match. Now you guys know how I feel. I despise instigating. I despise Jerry Springer shit. And I said it before, for the most part, you guys know that I'm professional. It's very rare you guys see emotions coming out of me unless I'm laughing or cracking jokes or what have you. And there's a lot of bullshit that I let fly over my head, and I just let it go because in most cases, cooler heads prevail. And in some cases, it's better to go ahead and let the small fire burn because it'll eventually go out instead of trying to put it out. Because if you put it out with some flammable materials that you don't know about, you're going to make the shit explode. Robert McLeod, if you were to date a woman like Luca, you would know she's the type of woman who is seen as a user and try to get anything she can from guys. It is what it is. The way I am, if I take a girl out on a date, the first one's on me. I'm paying for the first one, but I'm not paying for the second one. Because I don't know if you're going to go fly home and jump on Facebook or jump on Plenty of Fish and go through all your messages and shit like that. After that, we go out, you paying for the next one. And then whenever I'm dating a girl, I let them know right from the start, if we go to a club and a dude walks up on you and tries to holler at you, I am going to do nothing. I am going to stand there with my arms folded and see how you handle the situation. If she rejects the dude and tells the dude that I'm sorry, I'm here with somebody, you know, thanks for your interest, but I'm not interested. And if the guy walks away, that is the end of it. The woman will have my utmost respect. And the night will end well. But if the guy continues to persist, even though she told him no, then I'm going to give him a warning to leave her alone before he has a big problem. And then it goes from there. But if the guy is approaching her and she's entertaining it, I will leave. She will have to find a way home right then and there. What's up, Ryan? How you doing, man? Ryan, you my dude, man, and I'm cool with you, man. You're one of my favorite YouTubers. But I think you was deliberately put in a compromising situation yesterday, and I didn't like it. I'm speaking up about it. I didn't care for the situation you were put in yesterday. Like I said, you guys know that I'm usually pretty professional. And there's a ton of shit going on in YouTube. Okay, hold on, bro. All right, there you go, Big Cloud. We are not in Wakanda, but I look forward to your arrival. Yeah, I see some of the other comments, but you know, I'm choosing not to respond to them. I see everybody's comments. What's going on, Ryan?
What up?
How you doing, bro?
Chilling, man.
Have you been keeping up with this podcast?
Just got in here, to be honest with
you. So I gave my thoughts on the big blow up.
Yeah.
That happened yesterday.
Yeah.
And you know, you know how I am on most of this stuff, that I'm neutral on this, a lot of this stuff. You know, I've explained that to you and Thrash a number of times. You know, I stayed neutral on the beef with, you know, Porter Rock and J-Tech, you know, and I didn't even get involved in the debate that you and J-Tech had. But yesterday,
Yeah.
I felt like you were put in a compromising position twice.
Yeah.
One of them, I think you never saw it coming. And the other one, I thought you would deliberately set up, that I didn't care for it.
Yeah. Well, yesterday again, it happened, right? Like we can't turn the clock back, right? All we can do is just move on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things happen in life that you don't know is going to happen. Like that's life for you. It throws wrenches at you left and right. You don't know what's going to happen. I didn't think both of them would argue like that at all. I actually thought it was going to be, you know, I treat like, you know, RGT. Every RGT, we just treat it like a show. We don't really so much just focus on drama.
Mm-hmm.
We just focus on gaming aspect, which is why we have fun with it. Them two, you know, argued, and then they argued. Did I expect it to go on? Now, at first, I thought it was just something friendly because, you know, Foxy was singing. I don't know if you was watching the good chunk of it, but he started singing, like, yeah, and good chunk of the conversation at the beginning. It was like a debate sort of thing. I was like, okay, that's fine. You know, we were just having jokes or whatever. We get to the end, and then it goes a different direction completely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it went from a small little left turn, right? Like them easing left to it just making a damn U-turn left. Like, you know, it just went bad. So happens.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and that one, I got no opinion about that one because I believe there was no way you could have seen that coming. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. We were all talking gaming. I'm sitting here reading the chat message. I think everything's good. And then all of a sudden, dude just starts screaming. I'm like, oh, like, you know, like, what just happened here? And I'm trying my best to mend the situation. I even hit the mute button. I muted everybody. I was like, listen, guys, I'm shutting the show down. So I'm going to unmute you guys after, you know, when I'm getting to after I'm done speaking. And, you know, you do your outros, go about it. Timefall did her outro. Craig did his outro. Carlos did his. I mute them, and them two were still going at it, and just like, you know, it was crazy. It was crazy. But you know, that's what people have, and I said it. Like people were in their feels in the day, arguing over something. At the end of the day, this is a hobby, right? This is a hobby. This is your hobby. It's my hobby. We do this hobby every week. We dedicate a lot of time to it. The fact that we even have the opportunity to sit here in front of an audience and talk about that hobby. Again, it's just, you know, that's something that we should be happy for and should just, you know, be appreciative of, you know, have fun with. The thing that I don't understand is that, you know, why are we turning this hobby into something that it should not be?
Mm-hmm.
And that's drama. Should just be about fun, gaming, all that. Sure, you ain't got to like everybody you come across of on the internet. That's understandable. But at the end of the day, at least respect your hobby and what you stand behind. Please respect that.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, it happens.
Yeah, it was the situation. You know, again, that situation happened yesterday. That's one of those things that happened. It played out the way it played out. It is what it is. It's a little unfortunate that it got to the point where threats started flying, and that's when I cut the podcast off. I stopped watching it after I started hearing the threats flying. It was what happened. It was what happened in the Roundtable podcast that bothered me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I felt like you were put into a deliberate situation that, you know, they compromised you. And I'm speaking of Luca. She, you know, I was listening to the podcast. She said somebody hit her up and told her that Foxy and Sick was going at it. And she said she had to check it out because she loved drama. So that was already the first red flag right there. Then when they started talking about when she started talking about how her and Foxy was going at it, she kind of jumped on your case a little bit by feeling like you didn't come to her defense. And I felt like that is a compromising position right there because you are cool with both her and Foxy. And I think you handled it the best you could under the circumstances.
Right.
You know, I think you were professional about it. I think you remained level-headed about it. You didn't raise your voice at anybody. and I thought you handled it the best you could.
Yeah.
But then the situation, the other part that got me mad was when she said she tried to ask you and Thrash what was going on with you two about a year ago. And my thinking was that if you didn't get that answer a year ago, leave it alone. Just let it go. Yeah. But I felt like she ignited the shit again by asking what happened with you two. And I've tried my best to avoid saying this, but I got to be honest, you know, you and Thrash are at a situation where every time you two are in the same podcast, it gets tense.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take much to set the situation off. And I felt like that's what she did when she asked what happened.
So Thrash started adding gasoline to okay.
Right. And then when everybody's trying to give their side of the story, then she like broke it up. Wait a minute, there's one side, there's the other side, there's the truth. What the hell happened? And then it's like, okay, there we go again, setting it up for them to fight again. And people instigating is something that I despise, especially when I feel like a woman are putting two men in a situation where they might be fighting. You know, I don't know what her reasons were for doing it, but I felt like she did it deliberately.
Yeah.
And I've been to nightclubs before where I see a girl come into the club with her boyfriend, but then start making Google eyes at all kinds of other dudes in the club. And then the dude try to hit on her, and then her boyfriend get mad. Now we got a big fucking fight in the middle of the damn bar. And after the bouncers done threw everybody out, she's sitting there saying, "Oh, I didn't mean for this to happen." You know, so I despise that kind of shit. And I couldn't help but feeling like if you and Thrash would have been on the street in front of each other and she would have been there, she showed me that she would have created a situation where shit could have went left real quick if you two would have been on the street. I felt like she created some Jerry Springer shit, and I felt like she put you in an even more compromising situation, because I felt like you know, I give you all the credit in the world coming to the round table last night, because I was shocked to even see you in there.
Yeah, because my name was mentioned like 4 times, and Diver, and shout out to Diver. Diver saw the podcast. He knew I tried my best to break these two up. I tried. I muted them. I told him, I was like, listen, we're at the end here. Can y'all two just like stop so I can end the show, and then y'all could do this off air, you know, whatever. And I'm trying to end the show, and Diver had my back the entire time. He was breaking down like, listen, y'all putting blame on him when he, at the end of the day, was actually trying to break them up. He tried the best he could do. I'm like, exactly. I tried my best I could do. So I came in there, you know, because my name continued to get like slandered, so to speak. You know, my name was getting dirt thrown on it, basically thrown my way, saying like, oh, he did this, he did that. And like, listen, just send the damn link. You know, that was my whole thing. And I jumped in there and talked about it. And we just, you know, we talked it through. That's all it was. But I'm saying the situation should have never got there. It should have never got there. Now, again, I talked to Foxy off air. It's good. You know what I'm saying? I got respect for both of them at the end of the day. They both were great level-headed gamers. You know this. They're both very well informative people here on the internet. At the end of the day, people are going to get upset over this shit at the end of the day. There's going to be some people going to get in their feels over debates, arguments, whatever, or something that somebody said. But what was, you know, the whole thing about Luca jumping in, right, at the end of the day, I couldn't barely answer all our questions, because if you listen very carefully, I was being talked over, plus I wasn't really necessarily welcomed. So it was kind of weird for me to continue to talk anyway. So I just, you know, I left it as is. I wasn't necessarily welcomed at the show. So,
you know, and I don't blame you for feeling that way. And she's even said it at some point during the podcast that maybe you two should separate and never talk again, which to me means that you know that there is tension between the two of them. So why would you ask what is the deal with you two? If you already know that there's tension between the two of you and you couldn't get an answer out of either of you a year ago, why would you open up that can of worms again and ask what happened?
Of course.
At this point, it doesn't matter what happened. It doesn't matter who started it. What we know now is that you two have different personalities, and there's going to be tension when you two are under the same roof. So I cringe whenever you two are there, because I'm like, I don't want to see this shit where two people that I'm cool with might possibly go at it.
Well, one thing about the thing between me and Thrash, it's always been that way, even with the original podcast where we all started from. Well, we've always been that way, but it hasn't, like, you know, it was a good thing though. You know, I like the fact that we were opposites on both sides. It was like a yin and yang effect, right? That's just great. You don't want a podcast full of people that just, you know, it's all yin. You want the yang because you want people to have opposites. You want, you know, those type of conversations to get more out of it, to have more input on the show. You want those type of conversations. So that particular thing did not bother me whatsoever. Again, he's different. He's gonna believe what he believes. I believe what I believe at the end of the day. And, you know, on the round table, again, we announced it. I mean, we good. I got no problem with Rush. We good. So what happens now? Again, what happens now? I can really, you know, care less. But me and him are good. So for anybody who thinks there's there's beef right now, and there's like me gonna go and do like 5 videos, nah, I'm not gonna do no videos. Nah, I'll leave that to a certain other person who was in that chat that was talking trash to me the whole show. But that's a different story. It's not about that. You know, it's not. The whole thing between me and Thrash, again, it's officially over. So y'all can relax. And besides, I owe him a rematch anyway in Tekken. So,
so you gonna go get it?
Yeah, I told him. I said, "Listen, you want that rematch? You holler at me." So I gotta get him that rematch for Tekken. So trust me, man. If that's what gaming should be about, at the end of the day, it should be about. It's like we can have argument. Like, for example, we can have a blow up right now, but at the end of the day, we should be able to at least put that shit to the side and go back to our hobby, and at least, you know, associate in our hobby. So
yeah, I can definitely agree with that, because as far as that goes, whenever you know, whenever you and Thrash have that rematch, I might want to be there and throw my hat in that ring, because Thrash done whoop my ass. I don't know how many times. I have never beat him, not once. As far as that goes, Titanfall Princess, I think I've only beat her once, but I think she probably beat my ass like 200 times.
Well, I've taken quite a bit of notes, and let's just say I've improved drastically when I first got the game and I was playing. So yeah, but I'm interested in that for sure. Whenever that happens, but again, it happens. You know, the drama happened, the situation happened. The only thing I can say going forward is just to move forward. You know, I got respect for both of them. Signal, that's one of my best friends that I met here on YouTube. He's been there before I was even at 1,000. He's been there for the longest. Like, he knows. At the end of the day, I had no beef towards him. I'm not upset about anything. I can understand that both of them were going to argue. But, you know, again, if you guys are going to argue, at least try to keep it level-headed-ish. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least keep it on a certain level where there's a line that should not be crossed. Like road trips and all that, that's when y'all cross lines and y'all just go into a new realm of just arguing. So,
and, you know, me, myself, you, Thrash, Sick, Titanfall Princess, Puerto Rock, Foxy, J Wags, you know, Vidiot, the list goes on and on. I feel like everybody who came on to the Lincoln Show played a part in me getting my channel to where it is right now. I've done about 15 of those shows. It was really taking off, and I really enjoyed doing the Lincoln Show, but it was a lot of work trying to chase down YouTubers to be on the show, because it was like the bigger the YouTuber was, the harder it was to try to get them to commit to coming onto the show. You know, like one time I had got a commitment from Griffin Gaming, but it never materialized. He wasn't the only one. You know, I asked King Bloods Gaming to come on before and stuff like that. So once I started to see that it was becoming more of a problem than it was work, then I kind of shut down the Lincoln Show. But nonetheless, anybody that's been on the show has been huge in helping my channel get to where it is. And I appreciate everybody that's come on the Lincoln Show. And, you know, for that, I'm forever grateful. And, you know, and I'm like, you know, to me, I think I can be loyal to a fault.
Of course, loyalty will only get you so far.
Huh?
I said loyalty at the end of the day will only get you so far. You need to have that, you know, that trust at the end of the day. So, and that's only gonna get you so far. But as far as Lincoln shows, I mean, you could always hit me up. It's no big deal. Could have showed up anytime. But, you know, again, I understand, you know, how you were trying to go about it. You're trying to get away from drama as well. A lot of people were like, there was just a lot of tension in the air, which is why, you know, again, that's why I didn't really fault anybody who were either like low key not showing up to shows or would show up to shows periodically every so often. I'm like, listen, I get it. You know, ain't no big deal to me. You know, it just y'all don't want the drama. Same with me. I ain't got time.
As far as that goes, you know, Sunday mornings I do you know, my new show Live from Wakanda. Basically what I do is I take notes throughout the entire week of what the latest news was. And then when I do the show on Sunday mornings, I go back over all those footnotes that I've taken through the week, and just give my thoughts on them. So, you know, why don't you come on one of these mornings? Yeah,
what's up?
Let's chop it up about, you know, the latest news. I mean, when it comes to, you know, naturally the news is heating up right now with you know, with Sony and Microsoft and all that kind of stuff with this cloud gaming and Google getting involved and, you know, Amazon in the background and shit like that. I mean, it's going to be over the next year. It's going to be a lot of shit to talk about, man. So definitely come on the show one of these mornings, man. Let's chop it up about it.
Yeah, sure. Sounds good. What time do you usually do this? You started?
See, when I first started doing the Live from Wakanda, I was doing it as a fill-in, you know, from when Sick took a break. And I was telling everybody that when Sick comes back, I was going to move the show around him. You know, I was either going to try to get it done before him or after him because I didn't want to overlap him, you know, and get caught up doing it at the same time he did. So I usually try to do it at about 7 or 8 Eastern time in the morning.
Okay.
But but when we agree on a date for you to come on, then I can adjust that time and move it to like 11 o'clock or noon, you know, something like that, something that'll work for both of us.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfectly fine.
The other thing I need to say to you, man, is when are you going to get on board with this VR? When are you going to get a PlayStation VR or an Oculus, especially being that I took the leap and joined the PC master race? When you gonna take this leap and jump on Oculus?
I mean, VR is cool. It's an expensive peripheral. I will say that it's interesting. I've been looking at it. Like I've been seeing. I know you like Beat Saber, right? On the VR, PSVR. You need to look up. As a matter of fact, I'll send you. I don't know if you're going to watch it, but I'll send you a link right now to one for Oculus and Beat Saber. Dude was playing it with a damn lightsaber.
I'm wondering if you're talking about the dude. He made a special device to connect both of his controllers together and made it like one of those Darth Maul lightsabers. And he was playing Eminem's Rap God on it. Yeah. Man, that dude, he was going off too.
Yeah. So I mean, the possibilities are endless with VR on PC. You know, it's closed on console. Obviously, you know, there's only so much you can get out of it, but you know, it's cool. I know you. I know you're trying to get more people in the ring because you know you and Diver, but that was hilarious. But I hate laugh so hard the long can't stop. Tell you right now, Diver like, well, I'm ready. Where you at? I'm dying. I was like, oh shit.
You know, but I think you know stuff like that. The boxing game, the first-person shooter games, stuff like that. A lot of these games we play today. The more realism that the game has, the more we like the game, you know? So it's like every time a first-person shooter game comes out, everybody wants more and more realism and more interaction in the game. How much more real can it get? How much more interactive can it get than VR than actually being out there getting shot at?
Yeah, very true. Very true.
So with that being said, you know, the Battlefield type games and stuff like that, some of them are already out there on Steam. Yeah. And you know, and Oculus has finally come down to a reasonable price. It is down to a permanent price of $350. That must have made their mark now, because Oculus is hard to get now. It's sold out in my area, and Fatal Sherrod told me it's sold out in his area too. And when Sick went to go get his, when Sick went to get his, it was sold out. Because as far as I know, Best Buy is the only retailer where you can walk in there and get them, but you can't even do it like that anymore because they have a hard time keeping them on the shelves.
Yeah, I think Angry Joe showed off the demo of the Oculus Rift. Like he was showing how, because you know on PS4 it only tracks like your hands, so you see like your little stubs of your hands, and you see in the game. Oculus, you see your whole arms, you see everything, and your character. He showed off a demo on that, and again, people have been eyeing Oculus for the longest. They just been waiting for that opportune time to jump on it. So yeah, it makes sense that it's sold out like everywhere. It makes sense. But if you really want one, you got to special order it. No, it's not something new. It happens numerous times. Like certain things I had to buy, I had to special order. So, but yeah, it's cool though. VR is definitely growing. It's cool to see that the market's really there for it. We all thought it was a gimmick that was going to die off in like a year or so, but it's actually not. It's still flourishing.
Well, I think at the time that the PlayStation VR came out, I think it was kind of a bad situation because I believe you had the media trying to sabotage the PlayStation VR. And they were new to VR, and then you had a situation with Oculus and Vive where those headsets were costing $600 and $700 respectively, and then you still needed a powerful PC to push it, which you were probably going to have to spend at least $100 to have a computer powerful enough to push it. So when you combine those two elements, that how expensive it was with Oculus and Vive, and with the media jumping all over PlayStations trying to sabotage their launch, it was not, in my opinion, it was not a good start for the PlayStation VR. I knew, especially with that $500 price tag, it was going to take some time to grow.
Yeah.
And I've said that many times over and over again. When you're trying to appeal to a demographic that's not dedicated to it, price comes into play. If you, somebody who loves iPhones is going to pay that $1,000 for it. Anybody who ain't crazy about the iPhone, they're not even going to give it a second look unless it comes down to a price that suits them. Price comes first.
Yep. You also need to take into account the software. If you ain't got the software, then obviously, I mean, what's the point of spending $400, $500? No, you need those compelling games, those compelling software. And ironically, that's got me wanting to have another or certain guest on the channel. I'll have a one-on-one discussion like I did before, but I might have to hit Dealer up and ask him about incentive for gaming consoles, because it's getting a little weird now.
I mean, as far as that goes, if Microsoft would have followed through with what they said about the high fidelity VR that they promised, I would have bought an Xbox One X.
Yeah, I mean, I thought so too. I mean, I'm reading the quotes and everything. It's like, oh, it ain't here. So it's like, okay, now it just is going left. So I was like, oh man. So they literally just they caved pretty much.
But I think the one thing that people got different opinions as to why Microsoft decided not to get involved in it. Some people believe that Microsoft didn't do it because the Xbox One and the Xbox One S can't do it. And my thought was that they didn't do it because Sony didn't have the kind of success in the beginning that gets Microsoft's attention. I've said that a trillion times, that Microsoft wants drug money, that they want to spend $5 today and expect to make $2 million off of it tomorrow. So a lot of things that Microsoft does, they piggyback off of someone else's success. Look no further than the avatars when the Mii's were popular with Nintendo. Look no further than the PlayStation Plus, and they responded with games with gold and that kind of stuff. I think that if the PlayStation VR would have got off to a hot start and would have sold like 1 million units like within a month, it would have got Microsoft's attention.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. They again, Microsoft and this X and all their consoles, I mean, they're ready to launch a damn discless one, which is the Maverick. Again, all these systems, it doesn't excuse the fact that you don't have the software. It just doesn't. You can throw specifications out the window all day. You still need the software. And people get upset when you bring this up. They say you're toxic. You're like, you just care about exclusives. No, it's the fact. It's called incentive. If you don't have the incentive, then nobody's going to buy into your console. Now, the faithful, right? The hardcore faithful will buy it because, those are the ones who like Halo, Gears, and Forza, right? They'll buy it. But how long are they going to continue to support it? Now they know that they got to pay for Xbox Live and all these other companies, like all these other platforms, get it for free. How long they going to be
about that? I probably say out of the entire Halo franchise, Halo 2 and Halo 3 are my two favorite Halos. And this Master Chief Collection, I don't know what it contains, but when it comes to Steam, I thought about buying it just to show the Xbox that I can play their same games and don't need an Xbox Live membership.
Yep. See, there you go. Like it's crazy, and they're already working on their infrastructure to get their games to run natively on the PC without, Game Pass. So I don't know how long people think Game Pass is still going to be this thing, but Game Pass is, yeah, it's making a profit, but Microsoft's ready to convert that to something even more, sinister at this point, where all their games going to be everywhere. So they already set themselves up.
With this cloud, with this cloud-based streaming. At first, I thought Microsoft would have a slight advantage over like maybe Google or Amazon or something like that, because you could play your games on any device. And then I saw that trailer from Google that says you can play your games anywhere as well. So I think that's going to be a serious problem for Microsoft, because the way things, if the Google service was to launch today, the only advantage that Microsoft would have over Google would be Halo, Forza, and Gears.
Yeah, they already have established games. There are rumors going around that Google is partnering with Sega. So if they got this thing going on where, let's say, Sega is either going to remaster old school classics on this system and have them run at 4K or whatever on the system, they might got something with this system, and obviously they can build upon those and create even more.
And what about the rumor that Google might also be introducing a traditional console with more power than the Pro and the Xbox One X, along with this partnership that they're supposedly working with Sega, Ubisoft, and ID Software? If all this turns out to be true, Google is going to be a serious player in the gaming industry. So I think Microsoft, is it possible that Microsoft, hey, we'll catch you later, Thomas Hand. I've seen your comments though. Is it possible that Microsoft's seen all this coming with Google and Amazon getting ready to get involved in this shit, and they were making, making preparations to get on out of here?
Yeah, I would not be surprised they did see it. Again, they all have these board meetings, right? They go over who's entering the market. They go over who's got this, that, and the third. So obviously it's like a strategic plan at the end of the day, right? Like in terms of what they want to go for. Let's say they want to go for mobile, they'll talk about it. As far as this is concerned, it would not surprise me if they knew about it and they decide, okay, you know what? Damn, Sony's got their market share back, right? We lost all our major third-party deals. Why not go a different route with the service route and put everything here? And that way, even though we lose in the weird way, we still kind of win because we're getting profit. Hey, let's do that. And that's, makes sense. And it would seem like they would go third party. That's what a lot of people are talking about, them going third party, as a developer. Again, I would not be surprised. Microsoft has always succeeded as a software distributor rather than a hardware distributor. 360 did really, really good. The Xbox One did okay. But again, the 360 was their best-selling console by far. And the Xbox One and X, they're not really hitting those numbers anytime soon. It doesn't look like it. They're at like, what, 55, 54 mil? So, yeah, they're far away.
That's being generous.
Yeah, like you want to round it up, because you would think that will at least sell a good amount, right? With VG Trash and everything, you would think sales will at least go a little higher than what we're predicting it, but still 50-something mil, and Sony's pretty much at 100 mil. I'm pretty, if not already getting ready to touch 100 mil.
You really think Microsoft might be at 50-something mil?
Well, and then they said they were at 50 or 40 or something like that.
I know they said they were at 40 about 3-4 months ago, but I think when they said that they were at 40, I think it was a timed response, because news about that chart had gotten out about how many processors they had ordered, and based on that chart, everybody speculated that they might be sitting on more like 35 million. So sometime after that, I felt like Microsoft said that they were at 40 million because they had to respond to people that were speculating that they were still in the mid-30s.
Well, I'm guessing then, I guess I'll inflate this then. Probably by the end of this generation, they'll probably be at 50 then. I thought they said 50, but okay, 40, then that makes more sense. 40 mil, again, 40 mil versus Sony's almost 100 mil. It's pretty much shows the growth, right? From one point to the decline, which is now. And, they did grow from the Xbox One to 360, but obviously declined as of right now because they don't have the software. And people get upset about this. They blame us. They say, "Oh, it's your drama podcast." But at the end of the day, are we wrong though? you still need the software at the end of the day. If you don't got the software, then, well, you don't necessarily have anything now, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. And I think with Microsoft going harder and harder to promote the service, I'm not in those boardrooms, but I just can't help but to have this feeling that their sales are declining more and more each month. And I don't think their sales are going up. I think they're going down. They might have moments where the chart is going to flatten out, you know, and they just stay level for a minute, but then I think it's going to dip again.
Yeah, it makes sense. If you think about the situation, if you look at it, like really look at it, as of right now, how do I put it when it comes to the sales? At the end of the day, it's a reflection of them, right? All the games that come out for the Xbox, they're not really properly advertised now, are they?
No, I don't think so whatsoever. But
yeah, it's mostly Game Pass is advertised, right? It's Game Pass. They'll say Game Pass this, Game Pass that. They don't advertise any of the top games that be on these platforms. They don't. They just advertise Game Pass. So if you're expecting higher level sales in these particular games and in these new installments, you got to give the proper advertisement for it. If you're not gonna put the proper advertisement into it, then you just fuck yourself. You fuck the whole game up, the franchise. Like, no doubt about that. Look at Quantum Break. Look at Quantum Break. We all thought Quantum Break was amazing. I know you did. I thought that was dope when we first saw that. Oh, that looks like something that I will be buying. Looks lit. We get the game. Not only does it not look like that, but they didn't properly advertise it, so it didn't do well. So
I have to admit, even though I understand the Quantum Break flopped, and even though I understand that the game was in 720p, the first time I saw that at one of the E3s, it was a game that I was highly interested in it when I first saw it.
Yeah. Then I'm like, okay, this might be their break. Okay, you know what, Microsoft? You get a little break from me. We get the game. We find out that all the time powers are being used for some dumb shit. Like, for example, he can't open the door. He has to rewind the time back to when the door was open. Does that make any sense? Yeah. There are certain doors in the game that you can't open. You have to rewind time to open.
Wow.
I'm sitting there going, that doesn't make any sense at all, nor does that even register in my head as something that I'm like, that's not logical there, because he just opened the door in the cutscene. It's weird.
But as crazy as it sounds, despite the stuff that I heard about it, Quantum Break is the only Microsoft game that I heard that is trash that I still want to find out for myself. I want to play it and find out for myself, because at least the clips that I have seen still look interesting.
Yep, pretty much.
But I'm not gonna pay. I have to catch it in the bargain bin. But if I can catch it that way, then yeah, I'll give it a look.
Exactly. I just it's crazy. A lot of games that they missed the ball on. That particular one, though, it really does bother me, because you think about it, we ended up getting Quantum Break 2, but it's called Control. So Quantum Break did get a sequel, but it's now coming to PlayStation. It's that new game Control. So, I mean, I don't know how to go about it, to be honest with you. It just it's like a checklist of stuff that they just done wrong with this console.
Yeah, no doubt. With that being said, man, I gotta get ready to close shop. I want to grab a bite to eat, and I want to do a little bit of gaming, because in about an hour I gotta head out to go pick up my son from a birthday party. But I definitely want to thank you for coming on. I'm sorry it was under these kind of circumstances. I would have much preferred it would have been under more professional circumstances, where we would have arranged for you to be on the show.
Yeah, that's no problem.
But I take my hat off to you for doing what you could under some adverse conditions. I gave my thoughts on. I felt like you were put in a compromising situation. I'm not gonna regurgitate it, but I felt like you were compromised, and I didn't think it was cool.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I try. At the end of the day, it's all about putting on the best you can do. In terms of shows, content, all that jazz. Just the best of your ability. So I try, but it happens. Can't stop it, or I can't rewind the clock back. I would like to, but
Hey, but the topics that we did get into, game related topics, I think there was some great chemistry there, man. So You got to come on live from Wakanda more sooner than later, man, because I know we'd have a great show.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. Just let me know when you're available or whenever.
Without a doubt, man. I'll definitely be in touch with you so we can set up a date.
Absolutely. Everybody.
So, with that being said, since you're here and we did get into some gaming topics, go ahead and shout yourself out.
No, I mean, yeah, know me. I'm Big Cloud Gaming here on YouTube. You guys should find me there. And do me a huge favor, hit the like button for this dude right here. He does put on a good show. He's a very well-spoken individual. He's been on RGT numerous times. Love having him on the show, and that is always welcome. So anytime you want to, you can always stop by. But this is Big Cloud. I'm definitely signing out because I might have to do a video. So it's definitely going to be interesting.
Without a doubt, man. And again, I want to thank you for coming on through. And I will definitely come to the RGD. And as far as that goes, I will definitely hook up with Titanfall Princess, because I got to keep that promise. I'm going to hook up with her again, come on one of her podcasts. So with that being said, I appreciate it. You know what to do, everybody. Give it a like, like, share, all that good stuff, and we will holler at y'all later. And again, Ryan, thanks for coming on.
Anytime.
All right, we out of here, folks.
Later.